guys, and welcome back to my channel. I feel like it's been forever and a day. I know I am still trying to transition into what is slowly becoming our new normal. Hopefully you will be seeing a lot of different videos coming from me in the up and coming weeks, and I know I still owe you guys videos from my series on how I started my school. Don't worry, it's coming. Be patient with me. Thank you so much. But I wanted to take this time and to share with you some answers to questions that I did for an organization called Normal Isn't Real. I thought it would be something that would be beneficial for you as well, especially if you're like me and this whole situation, you feel like a fish out of water. We don't want to feel like that way for long, right? So there are some things that I did do to bring some normalcy into my household, and I kind of shared that in these 2 questions that I answered. I hope it is helpful to you. If you have some special ideas or tips that you're doing to make this whole stay at home, social distancing, teaching from home, being your child's teacher, homeschooling, please place them down below. All right, guys, enjoy. Hi, I'm Cindy Lumpkin, a parent and special educator. I've been asked to share with you some advice on teaching at home. Now, I know none of us thought that we would be in the situation that we're currently in, but this is exactly where we find ourselves. And so we have to make the best of it. So I hope to share with you 3 ways or 3 things that you can do that will make the best of your homeschooling situation. The first thing that I would share with you is to get perspective on regression. Now, I am a big fan of social media, and I've been following this parent group, and a lot of the things that the parents are worried about is regression. And what I would say is we have to get a better perspective on regression. We understand and we know that it is real and that it can happen. But I like to think of this period as planned regression. That means that we know that our children are in a prime position for it to happen. But because we know that it can happen, it puts us in a much better position to actually plan for it. Now, as opposed to unplanned regression, this is the regression that we really don't see, that we really don't expect, that happens year after year after year, that cause so many of our students to fall behind. I do not consider the 2 the same. I think because we are in this situation, the schools know that we're in this situation, and you know that we're in this situation. We just have to work together to make sure that our students continue to make progress and that they continue to meet their goals. And it can happen. The second piece of advice that I would like to share with you is that homeschooling is not a 7-hour day. In fact, the national guidelines for homeschooling is as follows. Elementary school students 1 to 2 hours, middle school students 2 to 3 hours, and high school students 3 to 4 hours. Now, they even suggest for those learners who learn differently, who may have learning disabilities, that time should be cut in half. So if you find yourself pulling your hair out, trying to engage your child for hours on end, and it's not working and they're stressed out, then you seriously need to look at reducing the amount of time that you are requiring them to work on schoolwork. Remember, this should not be a stressful situation for you, the parent, and we definitely do not want to make this a stressful situation for the student. Remember, with great instruction, students can learn working just 15 minutes a day. I've seen it. It's been a part of my strategy in working with some of my students. You just have to know your child and don't put them in situations where they are stressed. And then don't be deceived. if it's not working for you, they will eventually feel that. And so that same anxiety and stress that you feel, you will also put it off on them. So don't think that your job is to replace what the schools have been doing. No, at this time, all we want you to do is to supplement and to just make sure that your child is doing something and doing something meaningful so that they continue to make progress. The third and final piece of advice that I would like to offer you is that if you do find yourself in a situation where you feel like you can't keep up with the work or your child can't keep up with the work, please reach out to the teacher. Do not be afraid to say, this is simply not working for my family. I look at it like this. This is a change of placement, okay? And so not every child does their best work at home. Some of my parents, as a matter of fact, I have suggested to some of my parents not to even work with their children on their homework because it causes such turmoil in the home. So we know that because they're not getting any schooling, they would have to do something with you. But if the workload is just too much, reach out to your special education teacher, and maybe you guys need to sit down and reassess what your child's goals are and what the expectations are. Do not sit in silence when something is not working. It's not good for you, nor is it good for your child. So my biggest struggle during this time of social distancing or staying at home has been the transition into this new normal where I find myself being a working mother at home with her children, having to be a teacher facilitator to her children, having a 3-year-old as well as my husband. So we're all coexisting together, and I honestly never had a schedule for that. Sometimes it takes me a little while to get my bearings together, so I've been pulling my hair out. But I saw a checklist by The Millionth Task. They are 2 special education teachers that I follow on Instagram, and I was inspired by some of their recommendations, and so I used some of their tips in order to kind of reassess what I was doing and what I wasn't. So the first thing that I decided to do was to make sure that I had a designated space to do my work. I meet with my students online every day except for Fridays for an hour, and we do Zoom. So I make sure that I have a clear space where I keep all of my resource books, anything that I am working with them, all in one place, and no one is allowed to be in that place. I also established a morning routine. So my goal is to get up before the rest of my family. I enjoy drinking warm lemon water every day. So that's a part of my self-care morning routine. Also, I like to do meditation and prayer. Honestly, I also find cleaning or washing dishes relaxing too when the house is really quiet. I have forgiven myself or given myself grace for not always washing the dishes the night before. So if I have any of those things to do, I would try to get up early in the morning and to do those things, and it actually relaxes me and put me in a better position where I'm able to face my day. In addition, I also write out daily schedules the night before. So I know every day, except for Fridays, that I meet my students at a certain time. My daughter goes every other day, so she does it 3 days a week, and she's online with her teacher. She has homework in between that time. Then I have a 3-year-old that we have to give homework to and make sure that she is entertained and structured. And then there's my husband. So we kind of have a schedule. His schedule is not always predictable, but if I know that he has a call the night before and that he's not gonna be able to do lunch, then we try to plan for that the night before so that the next day I won't have a lot of surprises. I also provide a weekly communication sheet to my parents as well as my students. And this is to just limit the amount of times that I have to email. On this communication sheet, I list all of the assignments by day that I expect for my students to complete. And I'm also very strategic. I do not ask for everything to be turned into me. So I feel like we're kind of on the honor system, and because I see the parent as well as myself as partners, there are some things that are just expected and that they will facilitate or make sure their child is doing. And then there are a couple of things that their child will send back to me, and then I will grade it, and that is how they get their grade. I am very intentional about giving quality assignments, but not necessarily expecting that all of those assignments have to have some type of evidence base sent back to me, because at the end of the day, I still want learning to be as intrinsic as possible for my students. So they have to understand they do some things just for themselves and not necessarily always for a grade. Last but not least, I open my Fridays up for any communication with parents. So if they need to talk with me, if something is not working and we need to kind of go back to the drawing board for their student, Fridays are reserved for that. And I open myself for emails anytime. So doing these things has helped me to keep some of my hair in. I hope this helps. Remember, you can do this. You can do this, and you have to do this. I have faith in you.